They say betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from the person you trust most. I used to think those were just poetic words, something you'd read in a cheap thriller or hear in a late-night bar conversation. But the night I discovered my wife's affair, those words became my reality, searing, undeniable, and unforgettable. I wasn't just betrayed. I was gutted, burned from the inside out. And in that moment, standing in the wreckage of my marriage, I swore I wouldn't just walk away. No. I would make them pay. I had been married to Claire for 7 years. 7 years of what I thought was partnership, loyalty, building a future together. We weren't perfect, but I believed in us. I believed in her. She was my anchor, the one I trusted when the world turned hostile. But now I know, I was nothing more than a convenient placeholder in her story. The first signs were small. A smile at her phone that she quickly tried to hide. Sudden late nights. Working. That sharp, defensive tone when I asked simple questions. I didn't want to believe it. I told myself I was imagining things, that stress was making me paranoid. But when you live with someone day and night, you feel it in your bones. The truth finally came crashing down one Friday night. She was supposed to be out with coworkers. I stayed home, exhausted from a long week, nursing a beer in front of the TV. Something inside me, call it instinct, call it rage, pushed me to check her location on the phone app we'd installed years ago. For safety. She wasn't at the restaurant she'd mentioned. She wasn't anywhere near downtown. No. She was across the city, in a neighborhood I knew too well. Her ex-boyfriend lived there. Every rational thought screamed at me to stay calm, to wait for proof, but I couldn't. My blood was boiling too hot for patience. I drove across town, my knuckles white on the steering wheel, every mile filling me with dread and fury. I parked a block away, my heart hammering so hard it hurt. I crept toward the building. And there, through the thin curtains of his apartment window, I saw them. Claire. My wife. Naked in the arms of the man she once swore was nothing but a mistake from the past. It was like being shot in the chest. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The world blurred into red haze. I wanted to storm inside, rip him apart, drag her out screaming. But something held me back.
Calm.
A voice inside me,
no guilt,
cold, calculating,
no
said
apology.
No. Don't waste
She
this.
said.
Don't give
It
them
just
the
happened.
satisfaction of
We
seeing you
reconnected.
broken.
I didn't mean to hurt
Wait.
you.
Watch.
Didn't mean to hurt me.
Learn.
Then why keep
and
it
then
secret?
destroy them.
While out of
So
my
I did.
face, every time I
stood
asked,
there, silent and
she told me
invisible,
she still cared
memorizing
about me.
every detail.
That it was
That was the
complicated.
night I died as her husband.
That I was a good guy, but she
that
wasn't
was the
ready.
night I was reborn
I've
as
heard
her
all before.
executioner.
But
For
this
days,
time,
I
it
walked
burned
around
deeper,
like a ghost, hollowed out.
because I
every
had
smile
trusted
a
her with the
mask.
parts of me I usually
Claire
hide.
had no idea I knew.
And she gave them away
She
like they
came
meant
home,
nothing.
kissed me casually,
I didn't yell.
asked about my day
Didn't
like
cry.
nothing had changed.
I simply opened
She
the door
thought she was
and
clever,
told her to leave.
thought her secret safe.
She stood there for a
but
second,
I was already plotting.
as if expecting
I
me
wasn't
to
going to
fight
scream,
for her,
or beg, or
To
give
beg.
her the chance to spin her
didn't.
lies.
because I
No,
finally understood.
I was going to take everything
If
from
someone
her
loves
and her
you,
lover.
they
Their
don't
money,
treat you like an option.
their reputations,
I blocked her number,
their friends,
erased the photos,
even their families.
deleted
I would
the
strip
chats.
them bare the way they had
the
stripped me of
hurt,
my trust.
That stayed
But
for a
I
while.
couldn't do it alone.
Not because I missed her,
I needed someone ruthless,
but because I
someone
missed the
who
person I
wouldn't
thought
flinch.
she was.
And there was only one
been a few
person
months
I
now,
trusted with this mission.
And I still
my
catch
best
myself
friend,
remembering
Marcus.
her laugh.
Marcus and I
But
had
now it
known
doesn't
each other
sting as
since
much.
childhood. He was
Because
the
I know the
brother I
truth.
never had, loyal,
She chose him.
sharp, and with a streak
chose
of darkness.
lies.
He didn't bother
She
to
chose
hide.
to walk away from
When I
something
told
honest.
him what happened, his
And
reaction was simple.
I chose peace.
Tell me what you need,
I chose
he
healing.
said. No
He chose me
hesitation,
Zev.
no lecture about moving
And next
on.
time,
Just
I'll
cold
choose
loyalty.
better.
I laid out my plan.
When I asked her
surveillance,
directly,
digging into their lives,
she just
finding
froze.
every weakness we could exploit.
And then she whispered,
Marcus grinned like a
I didn't
wolf.
mean for it to happen.
This is going to be fun.
My chest went
The
hollow.
first step was financial.
She told me
Claire
everything.
handled most of our accounts.
That it started
but she's
as
grown
harmless
careless.
flirting.
Through a
That
mix
one
of
night
old passwords,
turned into a secret.
social engineering,
That guilt
and some
ate at
hacking
her,
Marcus specialized
but not enough
in,
to stop.
we got into her private
I
bank
felt sick.
records.
I went to
That's when we
Rachel's
discovered
place
the
later
first
that
treasure.
night.
Claire had been siphoning
She didn't
money
deny it.
into a secret account.
Didn't even look
My
surprised.
money.
Just
Our
said,
money.
I didn't want to hurt you.
I felt the rage spike again.
Funny how people
but
say
Marcus
that
just
after
smiled.
they've already shattered you.
Perfect. That's the lever
I
we'll
left
use.
without another word.
Next, we dug into
No
her
yelling
lover,
that
Jason.
no begging.
He was a smug
Just
little
silence.
bastard, a mid-level
Because
manager
sometimes
at some
silence
startup,
says more than
proud of
pain
his
ever could.
connections and
I blocked them both.
career prospects.
Deleted photos.
Marcus and I unearthed everything.
Erased conversations.
His workplace gossip,
But the
shady
memories,
dealings he thought were buried,
they stay.
even some questionable
Not
texts
because I
with
miss
a
them,
female coworker.
but because
Everybody
betrayal
has
leaves
skeletons.
scars you don't see.
Marcus said.
The hardest
just
part
have to know where
wasn't
to
losing
dig.
Rachel.
And we did.
It was losing Ava.
But revenge isn't just
10
about
years
cold
of friendship
tactics.
gone.
It's about patience.
Like it meant nothing.
It's about letting
But
them
pain
feel
teaches
safe
you
while the
things.
trap tightens around their
It
necks.
teaches you who people
Every
really
night,
are.
Claire came home,
And
smiling,
who you are when
pretending,
everything falls
while
apart.
I smiled back like nothing was wrong.
It's been months.
I let her think she still had
and
the upper
I'm
hand.
healing.
Inside,
Not
though,
perfectly,
I was
but
keeping
honestly.
score. Every
I
lie she
smile
told,
again.
every fake kiss,
I
every
sleep peacefully.
late meeting.
Because
she
I know
invented.
now.
I logged it like
The
ammunition.
people meant to love you.
Because when the
Don't
time
leave
came,
cracks in your
I
soul.
wouldn't just expose her.
They don't lie.
I would
They don't
obliterate
betray.
her. One
They
night,
stay.
Marcus and I
And
sat
one
in my
day,
garage, surrounded
someone
by
will stay.
printouts, screenshots,
But until then,
and notes spread across a
I
table
stay with
like
myself.
a war map.
and
this
that
isn't
I've
just
learned
revenge,
is
I
enough.
said quietly. This is justice. They thought they could ruin me and walk away smiling. But when I'm done, they'll wish they never met me. Marcus lit a cigarette, the smoke curling between us. Then let's make them bleed. That was the beginning. The first stone laid in the empire of their downfall. And as I stared at the plans before me, I realized something chilling. Destroying them wasn't just about payback anymore. It was about purpose. They had taken my love, my trust, my life. And in return, I would take everything. The plan wasn't just to hurt them. It was to dismantle their lives piece by piece until there was nothing left but ashes. Marcus and I knew timing was everything. Move too fast, and they'd see it coming. Move too slow, and I'd risk losing momentum. We needed precision. We started with the money. Claire thought she was clever, stashing away a separate account I wasn't supposed to know about. But thanks to Marcus's digging, we discovered the account details, transfers, even where she had been funneling little sums each month. The irony was delicious. She was saving up for a future without me, but now that fund would bankroll her own destruction. Marcus helped me reroute the account. Nothing drastic at first, just small diversions, transactions that looked like her own spending habits. A few hundred here, a few hundred there. Enough to make her account bleed slowly, invisibly. Then came the hammer blow. We timed it for the same week she'd booked a girls' trip. That was really just another excuse to see Jason. Right before her flight, Marcus triggered a full withdrawal and redirected every cent into a holding account under my name. When she tried to pay for the trip, her card was declined. I wasn't there to see her face, but I imagined the panic. She called the bank, of course. They couldn't explain where the money had gone. Fraud investigation, they said. She spent the entire trip with Jason scrambling to fix her finances instead of enjoying their little getaway. That was step 1. Step 2 was social. Jason had built his entire reputation on being charming, reliable, the rising star at his company. But people like him always have cracks. We just needed to shine a light on them. Marcus hacked into his email and found everything we needed: careless jokes he'd made about coworkers, petty insults about his boss, and a few explicit exchanges with a woman in HR who was very much not his girlfriend. We didn't dump it all at once. No. That would be too easy. Instead, we leaked the emails slowly, anonymously, to just the right people. A screenshot here, a misdirected email there. Seeds of doubt planted in fertile soil. It worked like a charm. Jason's boss started looking at him differently. Coworkers whispered behind his back. The HR woman distanced herself fast, terrified her reputation would get dragged into the mud. Jason, the golden boy, was suddenly radioactive. All the while, Claire had no clue. She came home every night, plastering on her fake smiles, trying to pretend she was the perfect wife. I played my role, too, loving husband, doting partner, calm and supportive. She never suspected that behind my eyes, I was dismantling her world one brick at a time. There was a kind of satisfaction in it, watching her move through the days, unaware of the trap closing around her. But revenge is never clean. Some nights, when I lay awake staring at the ceiling, I wondered if I was going too far. Wasn't exposing her enough? Wasn't catching her red-handed already victory? Then I'd remember that image, her in Jason's arms, moaning for him the way she hadn't for me in years. And my doubts evaporated. She had chosen betrayal. I was choosing justice. The next step was friends. Claire had always been the social butterfly, adored in her circle, always throwing parties and brunches. I used to joke that she collected friends like some people collected stamps. But friends built on charm are fragile. All it takes is a little poison. Marcus and I started whisper campaigns. Anonymous messages, half-truths twisted into daggers. Did you hear what Claire said about you? She's been lying to everyone. She's not who you think she is. People want to believe the worst, especially when jealousy is involved. Slowly, her circle started shrinking. Invitations dried up. Phone calls went unanswered. One by one, her friends slipped away, leaving her increasingly isolated. Jason wasn't spared either. His buddies thought he was a hero for stealing another man's wife, until Marcus and I leaked the details of his financial trouble, his reckless spending, his side relationships. Suddenly he wasn't the alpha male anymore. He was just a loser with bad judgment. The real masterpiece, though, was family. Claire had always been close to her parents. They loved me, or at least they used to. They thought I was the steady one, the rock she could rely on. I debated for weeks about whether to involve them. But in the end, I decided they deserved to know. I didn't tell them directly. That would have been too simple. Instead, Marcus helped me craft an anonymous package. Photos, screenshots, timelines, everything documented neatly. We mailed it to them without a return address. The fallout was nuclear. Her parents called her, furious. They called me, too, their voices full of shame and apology. "We had no idea," her father said. "You didn't deserve this." Claire came home that night pale as a ghost. She tried to act like nothing had happened, but I could see the cracks in her mask. She knew her parents had turned. She knew she was losing them, too. Jason's parents weren't spared either. Marcus found their number, and we sent them a similar package. If Claire thought betrayal was a private sin, she was wrong. Now everyone knew. By the end of that month, both of them had lost money, friends, reputations, and family support. And they still had no idea who was pulling the strings. It should have been enough. By any reasonable standard, it was already devastating. But I didn't feel finished. Because they still had each other. They still clung to their little fantasy of true love. The delusion that their betrayal was worth it because they'd found something special together. I couldn't allow that. If they wanted to build a life on the ruins of mine, I would burn their foundation to the ground. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. Jason's company was already shaky after our leaks, but Marcus discovered something even better. Jason had fudged numbers on a project report months earlier. If exposed, it wouldn't just embarrass him. It could cost him his job entirely. We compiled the evidence and dropped it anonymously into his boss's inbox. The explosion was immediate. Jason was called into HR, questioned, suspended pending further review. His career, his precious identity, was crumbling. Claire tried to comfort him, I'm sure. Tried to play the loyal partner. But her own life was unraveling so fast that she barely had the strength. Her bank accounts were wrecked, her friends gone, her parents disgusted. She had no safety net. They were sinking, and I was the one tying stones to their ankles. And yet, there was one more step. One final twist of the knife I hadn't revealed even to Marcus. Because in the end, betrayal isn't just about punishment. It's about erasure. I didn't want them to just suffer. I wanted them forgotten. When you dedicate yourself to revenge, something strange happens. You stop being the person you used to be. I caught myself looking in the mirror one morning, barely recognizing the man staring back. The tired husband, the naive fool who once believed in love, was gone. What I saw now was someone sharper, colder, dangerous. Someone who had purpose. And that purpose wasn't satisfied yet. Claire and Jason had already lost their money, reputations, friends, and families. Jason's career was on the ropes, Claire's social circle had collapsed. But they still clung to each other like drowning passengers on a sinking ship. I couldn't allow them to believe that their betrayal had bought them happiness. No. Their relationship would be the final thing I destroyed. The first cracks showed quickly. Jason, once smug and confident, was now a man under siege. He was suspended from work, his future uncertain. The shame of his leaked emails still followed him in whispers wherever he went. He tried to act strong for Claire, but I knew the truth. He was crumbling inside. Claire wasn't much better. Her parents barely spoke to her. Old friends ignored her. Her finances were in chaos. She leaned on Jason desperately, clinging to the fantasy that at least she had him. But pressure breaks people. And I was the one tightening the screws. Marcus suggested we escalate directly, expose their affair to the world in some big, dramatic fashion. But I shook my head. No, I told him. That's too easy. They already know they're hated. What I want is for them to hate each other. Marcus smirked. Make them turn on themselves. I like it. So we set about planting seeds of doubt. The beauty of destroying a relationship is that you don't have to invent much. People in fragile situations will believe whatever feeds their insecurities. We began with Jason. Using an anonymous number, Marcus sent him messages. From a concerned friend. Things like, "Are you sure Claire's not still seeing her husband on the side?" People talk, you know. At first, Jason brushed them off. But doubt is a poison, it spreads slowly, invisibly. Soon he was asking Claire where she'd been, what she'd been doing. Arguments followed. Meanwhile, I did the same with Claire. Anonymous emails, fake screenshots, little hints suggesting Jason was sleeping with coworkers. She wanted to dismiss them, but with everything else crumbling in her life, the suspicion took root. I didn't have to push too hard. Their own paranoia did the rest. By the end of that month, the golden couple was fighting constantly. Neighbors overheard shouting matches. Jason stormed out at night, Claire sobbed alone in the apartment. Every fight was another victory for me. But I wasn't satisfied with just breaking them emotionally. I wanted to destroy their ability to trust anyone. So I staged one final blow. Marcus and I set up a fake online profile, a woman Jason's type would be unable to resist. We filled it with just enough flirtation, just enough bait, and waited. Jason took it. Of course he did. Within days, he was exchanging messages, first playful, then sexual. Screenshots piled up. We sent them directly to Claire. The detonation was nuclear. She confronted him, screaming, hurling accusations. He denied it, tried to spin it, but the evidence was undeniable. Their fragile little world collapsed in on itself. Jason stormed out for good that night. Claire didn't chase him. She just sat there, broken, betrayed, alone. And for the first time, I smiled, not a mask, not a facade, but a real, satisfied smile. Marcus asked me afterward if I felt done. Not yet, I said. Because it wasn't enough that they were broken. I wanted the world to forget them. I wanted them erased, invisible, insignificant. That's when I went after their jobs directly. Jason's suspension had already crippled his career, but I made sure it ended entirely. Using the evidence Marcus had gathered, I sent everything, emails, financial slips, photos, to his company's board of directors. They didn't just fire him. They blacklisted him in the industry. Jason, the rising star, was finished. No respectable company would touch him again. As for Claire, she was still clinging to her job like a lifeline. But I couldn't allow that either. I leaked her affair to her boss, framing it as a violation of company ethics. Then I included a few fabricated, anonymous complaints about her performance, her supposed dishonesty. In today's climate, employers don't wait for proof. They act to protect themselves. Claire was called into HR, humiliated, and let go within a week. Now either of them had money, careers, friends, or family. They were exiles in their own lives. Some people might say I'd gone too far. That I should have stopped after exposing the truth. But they hadn't lived my pain. They hadn't stood outside that window, watching the person they loved most betray them with another man. They hadn't endured the daily humiliation of lies, the fake kisses, the stolen intimacy. This wasn't cruelty. This was balance. One night, after Claire had been fired, I saw her sitting alone outside her apartment. She didn't notice me in the shadows. She looked smaller somehow, defeated. She clutched her phone, scrolling endlessly as if searching for someone, anyone, who still cared. But no one did. Her parents were done. Her friends had abandoned her. Jason had left. She was truly alone. For a moment, just a moment, I felt pity. Then I remembered her laughter with Jason, the way she'd chosen him over me, and the pity turned to ash. She had chosen this path. I had only guided her to its inevitable end. But there was still one final stage. Not just punishment. Not just erasure. I wanted them to know why. I wanted them to understand that every loss, every betrayal, every friend who walked away, every dollar that vanished, every career door slammed shut, it was all because of me. Because they had crossed the wrong man. When you've destroyed nearly everything someone has, the temptation is to stop. To walk away and let the ruins speak for themselves. But I wasn't built to stop. Not anymore. I wanted them to look at the shattered remains of their lives and understand it hadn't been fate, or bad luck, or coincidence. No. It had been me, methodical, relentless, merciless. And now it was time to show them. Marcus didn't agree at first. "You've already won," he said one night in my garage, smoke curling from his cigarette. "They're done. They've lost everything. Why risk exposing yourself now?" I shook my head. "Because they don't know why. They think the world turned against them. They need to know the truth. They need to know it was me. Otherwise it's meaningless." He studied me for a long moment, then gave a low whistle. "You've changed, brother. You're not the same man I grew up with." "No," I said simply. "I'm not." The reveal had to be perfect. Not just a confession, but a masterpiece. Something that would leave them stunned, speechless, ruined beyond repair. We crafted a package, detailed timelines, screenshots, bank records, photos, fake, anonymous sources, pointing back to me. Every trap I'd set, every lie I'd exposed, every step of their downfall meticulously documented. I wanted them to read it and feel their stomachs turn. To realize they had been playing a game against me and losing every single move. I started with Jason. I waited until I knew he'd be at his lowest. Jobless, broke, drinking too much in some rented room after Claire had thrown him out. That's when I delivered the envelope. No return address, no explanation, just thick with damning truth. Inside was everything. Every account I'd hacked, every rumor I'd spread, every nail in the coffin of his career. And a letter handwritten by me. "You thought you were clever. You thought you could steal what was mine and walk away. But every dollar you lost, every friend who abandoned you, every whisper that followed you, it was me. It was always me. And now you know what it feels like to be powerless." I didn't see his reaction directly, but Marcus had eyes everywhere. A neighbor said Jason tore the letter into pieces, then drank himself sick. Later, he punched a hole in his own wall, screaming like a madman. Perfect. Then came Claire. Delivering hers was harder. Not logistically, but emotionally. Part of me still remembered the woman I had loved. The mornings we'd shared coffee, the nights we'd lain tangled together, whispering promises. But that woman had died the night I saw her in Jason's arms. So I left the package on her doorstep. Inside was her financial collapse spelled out, The manipulation of her friends, the staged rumors at work, even the fake messages that had broken her relationship with Jason. And, of course, my letter. You thought you were smarter than me. You thought you could live two lives, smiling in my face while betraying me behind my back. But every step you took, I was there, dismantling you. Your money, your friends, your family, your job, all gone because you made the mistake of underestimating me. Remember this, you destroyed me once, but I have destroyed you forever. Marcus warned me she might come to confront me. She's going to know it was you. You ready for that? I was. I waited for days, but she didn't come. Not at first. Instead, she called, over and over, leaving voicemails, begging to meet. I didn't answer. I let her desperation grow. Finally, late one night, there was a knock on my door. I opened it, and there she was. She looked nothing like the woman I had married. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes wrinkled, her eyes hollowed out from sleepless nights. She was trembling, clutching the package in her hands. Why? She whispered. Why did you do this to me? For a moment, I almost laughed. The audacity, she asking me why. Because you betrayed me, I said, my voice flat. Her eyes filled with tears. I made a mistake, I know. I was stupid. But you've ruined my life. You ruined it yourself. I snapped. I just held up the mirror. She shook her head desperately. We could have fixed it. We could have moved on. No, I cut her off. You killed us the moment you let him touch you. Everything after that was just consequences. She broke then. Collapsed onto my porch, sobbing, clutching at her knees. I have nothing left, she cried. Please, please stop. I stood there, watching her, feeling nothing. Not pity. Not sympathy. Just emptiness. You had nothing the moment you chose him over me, I said quietly. All I did was make sure you understood it. And then I shut the door in her face. Marcus asked me later if I felt victorious. No, I admitted. Not victorious. Just done. Because the truth was, revenge doesn't heal you. It doesn't erase the pain. It doesn't bring back the man I used to be. But it does something else. It transforms you. It makes you realize you're capable of things you never imagined. It hardens you into someone who doesn't forgive, doesn't forget. I wasn't healed. But I was finished. Jason disappeared not long after. Rumors said he left the city, maybe chasing some dead-end job in another state. Claire stayed for a while, but eventually she vanished too, moved back with her parents, perhaps, though I doubted they welcomed her. They became ghosts. Forgotten. And that was exactly what I wanted. But here's the secret no one tells you about revenge. When it's done, when the smoke clears and your enemies are gone, you're left standing alone in the silence. And the silence is deafening. They were gone. Jason vanished like smoke in the wind, jobless, disgraced, forgotten. Claire lingered longer, but eventually she too disappeared, swallowed by the shadows of her ruined life. The two of them, once so smug, so sure of their secret passion, were nothing more than ghosts. And yet, the silence left behind was louder than their screams ever could have been. I had won. Completely, utterly, devastatingly won. But victory didn't taste the way I thought it would. In the beginning, revenge had burned hot inside me. It gave me direction, purpose, energy. Every step closer to their destruction filled me with a rush I can't describe. For months, it was all I thought about, the planning, the execution, the careful orchestration of their downfall. But now that it was finished, I stood in the ashes with nothing but the echo of my own thoughts. And the question that haunted me, what now? Marcus noticed the shift in me. You got what you wanted, he said one night, watching me stare blankly at the wall. So why do you look emptier than before? I didn't answer at first. I couldn't. How could I explain that revenge is like a fire? You feed it until it devours everything, and when there's nothing left to burn, it turns on you. Finally, I muttered, because I don't know who I am without it. Marcus leaned back, exhaling smoke. Then maybe it's time to figure that out. For weeks, I wandered through life like a man without gravity. Work felt meaningless. The house was quiet, too quiet. My bed felt bigger than ever. I had destroyed the people who betrayed me, but in doing so I had also destroyed the part of myself that used to believe in love, in trust, in anything pure. And yet I didn't regret it. Because every time I thought of sparing them, of letting them go unpunished, I remembered that night, the window, the betrayal, the way Claire laughed with him. That memory was my justification. My anchor. They deserved what they got. All of it. But life has a strange way of moving forward, even when you're stuck. Months passed. Seasons changed. People stopped asking about Claire. Her name vanished from conversations. Jason became nothing more than a rumor, a bad memory. They were erased, just as I had intended. And slowly, I began to feel something I hadn't expected: peace. Not happiness. Not joy. But a cold, steady peace, the kind that comes when you've faced the worst and survived. One evening, Marcus and I sat on the porch, beers in hand, the sun setting in a blaze of orange. "You don't talk about them anymore," he said. "There's nothing left to talk about." He nodded slowly. "So, was it worth it?" I thought about that for a long time. About the sleepless nights, the planning, the rage, the cold satisfaction of each victory. About the emptiness that followed. Finally I said, "Yes. Because now they can never hurt me again." Marcus raised his bottle in a silent toast. To never being hurt again. We drank, the silence between us no longer heavy, but calm. I don't kid myself. I know I'll never be the same man I was before. That man is gone, buried with the trust and love that once defined him. What's left is someone harder, sharper, less forgiving. But maybe that's who I was meant to be all along. Because the world doesn't reward kindness. It rewards strength. It rewards those willing to do what others can't. And I did. Sometimes, late at night, I still dream of Claire. Not the broken version who came to my door begging, but the woman she used to be, the woman I once loved. In those dreams, we're happy again. She's laughing, I'm holding her, and everything is the way it was before betrayal poisoned it all. I wake up from those dreams with a hollow ache in my chest. But I don't let it linger. Because that woman never really existed. She was an illusion. A mask. The real Claire was the one who chose Jason. And I destroyed her. People think revenge is about rage, but they're wrong. It's about clarity. About stripping away illusions until all that's left is truth. And the truth is simple: betrayal demands payment. Claire and Jason paid in full. Now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see the broken husband anymore. I don't even see the avenger. I see a survivor. A man who was betrayed, who was humiliated, who was pushed into the fire, and who walked out carrying the flames. And if the world ever tries to break me again, I'll burn it down just the same. Because I know what I'm capable of now. The story is over. Not theirs. Not mine. Ours. And the final chapter was written in blood, silence, and victory.